suffering untold heartaches, dealing with blunt twin Trump and Boris Johnson. In this age of white nationalism, most third world countries are looking pitiable. They scramble for dollars and crumbs the West and Europe throw them at every economic buffet. UK African Summit in London, the World Economic Forum, Davos and others annually. African presidents are even worse. When President Muhammadu Buhari, for instance, sits down and stammers before the UK's Prime Minister Boris Johnson and his US twin Donald Trump, gagging for help, is always a spectacle. The slow-speaking president, who Trump reportedly called lifeless in 2018, might not be good at cutting and sealing mega deals with the world's powers. Former President Olusegun Obasanjo actually wrote Buhari off on that. So Nigeria will only be concerned with what Buhari scrapes off by trusting, concurring, and hoping in times like this. But Trump and Johnson are no masters. Buhari can trust and look to for help. Their critics say these two he-blondes are not alike. Maybe not exactly, but as ideology, personality, and Africa foreign policy bend go, DT and BJ, Donald Trump and Boris Johnson, are birds of a feather. Trump has relished the feeling that he has a double in Johnson. They call him Britain Trump, and people are saying that's a good thing. He tweeted shortly after Johnson won his election last year, "They like me over here. They like me over there. That's what they wanted. That's what they need." While Trump, the son of a German immigrant, is all out to make America great again, Johnson, the grandson of a migrant talk, said he wanted to make Britain the greatest country on earth. MAGA will do everything possible to make this happen. Full throttle racist propaganda, off-putting tweets about Africans, and frequent threats of the US watch list and restricting African countries and their hot-footed citizens. As pivotal as US policy wonks say it is to Trump's proposal African policy, Nigeria just got penciled down for another visa ban by the Putos. This was coming in about 2 years after meeting with Buhari and promising Nigeria stronger ties and cooperation. His Tory counterpart, formerly a vitriolic journalist and columnist, good at bending the truth, is no less racist and specifically Nigeria bashing. He has written about money craze that gripped beyond Brits in the early 2000s, describing it as an almost Nigerian interest of money and gadgets. He has referred to black people as Pekanimis with watermelon smiles. Boris Johnson has also stated how Islam has caused the Muslim world to be literally centuries beyond the West. The warmest Johnson has been so far was his visit to Nigeria when he was Foreign Affairs Secretary under Prime Minister Theresa May, and he has just told Buhari how much of a bomb the old general is for making Nigeria great again. According to a presidential media aide, Femi Adesina, Johnson also advised Buhari to keep the national autonomy of his country intact, and that soon Nigeria would not just be a continental power but a global force. Buhari is swallowing all these sweet nothings. Is disregarding the fact that Johnson and Trump are all out for their countries, scrambling to increase their shares of the continent's abundance, which Russia and China already straddled. Plus, the two nationalists are as unstable as Mercury. White nationalists loot vermin and creeps from other countries, mixing up with them and stocking up their resources. This makes both of Johnson and Trump, and the energy can't be more noticeable in their relations with Trump's list of shithole countries and Islamic nations, of which he just added Nigeria. It still amazes Aso Rock the sudden turn in the Nigeria-US relations that brought about the proposed visa ban on Nigeria. The volume of Nigerian migrants to the US is already diminishing following the initial visa restriction policy that jacked up the reciprocity fee. What else could have piqued Trump's thin skin? Buhari can only wonder. We are not going to react to speculations, said Garba Shehu, a senior media aide to Buhari, on Wednesday. He said, "We urge you to wait for us to see what unfolds under the new policy, its scopes, its reach, the implications and its consequences before we react." According to figures from the U.S. Travel and Tourism Office, Nigeria recorded the largest global drop-off in visitors to the United States. As of October 2019, 34,000 fewer Nigerians traveled to the U.S. compared to the previous year, a 21% drop, the biggest in 2019. The economic boom between 2011 and 2015 had initially spiked up the figure, slowing down in 2016 before the huge drop last year. As Nigeria was figuring that out, Johnson announced his administration's policy on migration, especially after Brexit. Migrants to the UK now must be able to speak English, must be skilled, and be earning £30,000, which is 14.2 million naira annually. This is a new government. The new system will come into force in January next year, said Johnson's spokesperson, January 22nd. The third requirement deserves some long, hard looks, especially when it is coming from Johnson that wants to cut Nigeria, indeed Africa, after the UK leaves the EU in 2 weeks' time. Clearly, the Nigerian middle class that likes to ship out to where the grass is greener doesn't earn this much in a year. On average, the middle bracket, 23% of the population, earns between 75,000 naira and 100,000 naira monthly. That is 1.2 million naira annually, way below the bar the PM just raised. But who cares? The public have been clear that they want us to end freedom of movement and take back control of our borders, and it is our duty to deliver on this promise. Johnson was quoted as saying, "The public, his fan base, has since been responding." Some said the restriction policy should have been mooted earlier before those migrants feeding fat on the UK had their children. The flip-flop, a common trait in Johnson and Trump, just went full circle in about 3 days during the UK African Summit. Johnson had announced at the start of the meeting that Africans would be welcomed with open arms in the UK. By putting people before passports, we will be able to attract the best talent from around the world, whether they may be, he told his audience of African leaders on Monday. On Tuesday, things went south. By the time all the immigration slams from the UK and the US kick in, the impact will resonate first in the education sector. Nigerians pouring into the US and the UK to overburden the well-structured and funded Western education will be pushed back. Currently, Nigeria is the 11th leading country of origin for foreign students, the only African in the top 20 in the US as of the 2018-2019 session. It boasts 1.2% of the total number of 1,095,299 international students in the country, according to the 2019 Open Door report. As for jobs, the coolies and stowaways doing fetch and carry will equally have no dog's chance of flooding the two countries again. No fake asylum seekers. This and other fallout might just be the beginning of the white race seeking their own first and taking back their countries from identity corruption by the blacks. President Buhari and his colleagues can't go on denying this reality. Trump and Johnson's aren't just Afrocentric. So guys, we've heard this all. my own point of view is that there's no need for anybody to be fidgeting and all of that. Maybe that will make us all to learn sense and do the needful. Because you know, when somebody has not really insulted you or forced you to do some things, you will not be able to, you know, come back to your senses and know that you have what it takes even to make you yourself better, that even other people will be begging you, they will be rushing you. But when we have a lot of things at our disposal and people are trying to be nice, and meanwhile we are supposed to take some decisions that will really impact on us, having a positive impact in us, but we just take them for granted. So when somebody insults you, at least you'll be able to know how to do the right thing. Then you go back to the inner room and think for yourselves. So let all of these things be happening. Maybe it will help us even as a people to begin to speak one voice, because most of all these our politicians, our leaders, they don't even know what they are doing. And that's why some people like all those people will be messing us up, because we don't even respect ourselves. Because if you respect yourself, people will respect you. But if you take yourself as a, you know, beggar all the time, as if you are inferior, they will look at you like that. That's just the way I see it. That's just the way I see it. Most of us who are always not coming together to speak one voice, to say the things the way they ought to be, you know, maybe with this kind of treatment, it will make us to go back and think very well. And it's as simple as that. There's no big deal about all of this. If we put our house in order, you will be surprised that these people, honestly, what did they really have? But because they try to use their brain, they try to put the interest of the country first. That is why you see them progressing. But what do we do? No, it is our personal interest that will want to override the interest of the old people. And that's why we are finding ourselves in this kind of a mess. We are so selfish. Most of our leaders are so selfish. It's all about them. They will be in government. It's all about them, not all about the country. They will come and sing rhetoric. Oh, yes, we are talking for the country. But no, in practical, it's a different ball game entirely. Someone says here that let us look at the positive side. We have talented people in this country who are supposed to use their talent for the betterment of this country, but most of them would travel abroad and starve this country of their blessing. At least this will make people concentrate on making this country better. People leaving this country to develop other countries. Why would they not leave this country? Is the atmosphere conducive? If the atmosphere is conducive and things are in place, who tells you? They will tell you that everybody must come together and make the country work. Like I always say, is it the man on the street that will make policy? When you are making policy, unfriendly policy to the people, and you expect people to be doing what? You expect people to be doing what? So does it mean we still don't have a talented people in the country? Then what has it yielded us in the first place? That doesn't mean we still have talented people in their numbers in the country. Yet, what has changed? What has happened? What have they done differently? You see that somebody will just have a little talent and go to all those places that is well grounded. Before you know, the person's ability will start coming out and be seen doing tremendous things. But back home, it's a different ball game entirely. So the change must start from the top. No matter what anybody is going to say, my opinion, the change must start from the top. The needful must be done from the top. It must come from up to down, from top to bottom. That is how it ought to be. It's just like a parent. You must set a path for the children to follow. It's not the children that will set it, because you are the head, you are the parent. You must set the path they need to follow. Then the children, you have to lead them. The children will follow it. That is how it ought to be. It's not from bottom to top. It's from top to bottom. That is how it ought to be. If the leaders should put the interest of the country first, things will change. It's not rocket science. Not at all. It's not rocket science at all. The things that they will be doing on unimaginable things that will be happening in this country, yet the presidency will be defending it. Things that are not supposed to be, they will still come out and be defending it. Somebody will see something that is black, they will be telling you to your face that this thing is white. So what do you expect? The change must start from the top. The good things, or the way things ought to go, must start from the top. Then every other person will follow suit. When people see that you are selfish, you tell them something different and you do something different, nobody will take you serious. A typical example is for our president at this age and time still be coming to this country, this UK, coming to the UK, leaving this country, going to the UK, getting treatment. at this age and time, and he's never seen it as, you know, a slap at all. For the past 4 years, going to the 5th year, to be able to do something, if it is only that thing that he wants to do, building our hospital, befitting hospital at that, the electricity zero, they will just be telling people, you know, all this audio project or whatever they always arrogate to themselves. We can't see it. So that is just the way it is. If people are comfortable in their homes, they will never go outside. The ones that are talented that are still going out because the place is not conducive for them. Yet you go to another place that is not your place, but you excel there. Then what is wrong with you, where you are coming from? That is what I just see in this whole thing. So it is better, let them continue doing that. Maybe it will make us to learn sense. So guys, I'll leave your comment.